Welcome to the Higher Ed Demand Gen podcast, helping higher education marketing leaders share knowledge about learning, strategies, and tactics that are relevant today. See what you can learn today by listening to one of our episodes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Higher Ed Demand Gen podcast, hosted by Concept 3D. If you like our content, please follow and subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, and Google. My name is Shiro Hattori, and I'll be your host today. And I cannot wait to talk all about higher ed social today. And for that, I'm very thrilled to have Brianna Blackburn join us. She is the Assistant Director of Social Media Brand Strategy at Bowling Green State University. We'll probably be calling it BGSU later on the call too. But Brianna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to have you as well. I loved our intro call. I've already used snippets of it on social posts because it's been so helpful for me to understand your world. So thank you for that. And I do have an icebreaker, which is, can you tell us what you love about higher ed?
Oh, that's a good question. I love higher ed. It's, the thing I love the most about it is the community at Bowling Green. I feel like that's what makes us so special is that, tight-knit community. We're not, a huge university, but we're, mid-size. So it's just like the perfect size when you're a student. But even as a staff member, I've just felt so much meaning in my work. And I think a big part of that is the people. And not just like at Bowling Green, but also like just everyone who works in higher ed. We all kind of get it. So the community there. And then I also just feel like, it's so important to, for all individuals to have access to education. And so it's something I'm very passionate about. And I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for my experience at BGSU. I always say that it was the best decision I ever made choosing BG. And then the second best decision I ever made was staying to work here. So I'm very grateful.
That's amazing. And I know you recently also got promoted as well. So congrats on your promotion. You've been working at BGSU for several years now, right?
Yes. I started as an intern when I was a freshman at Bowling Green. And I've just kind of, every year taken on more responsibilities. And it's been my entire career story, really. So I could not be more grateful for it.
Well, thank you. I know you already kind of told us a little bit about your background, but can you tell us a little bit about your role today?
Yeah, so in my role, I oversee the social media strategy for the university official pages. And then we also work on the alumni channels, as well as we get to help out with some special projects on the president's social media. So that's always super fun. We have a very beloved President Rodney Rogers. He's a great social follow for anyone who is working on presidential or executive comms. But we basically, we do all the organic social, and then we often will be creating content for our paid social as well. So we get to have organic and paid social kind of influence each other versus, having two separate strategies, which I think has helped us be successful. And we have an amazing team. We have 2 other full-time staff members, and we have, a team of students. And then we also have freelancers who help us with community engagement. So our team, it used to be just me, and now it's a team of 9 people. So it's more resources. And then we also collaborate so closely with our photo video team, who are just the most talented individuals in the world. We love working with them. So yeah, that's kind of like a little bit about our structure. And of course, like many other universities, we help with campus partner social media strategy, and just kind of being a supporting role to all the different departments on campus.
That's fantastic. Several questions already. I'm curious, do you have a paid media team in-house, or is that an agency?
Yeah, so a little bit of both. We have our director of advertising, she kind of oversees, like the budget, and I get to collaborate with her. So it's a lot of collaboration. We kind of work with everyone in the marketing office, like the social media team. We've got our hands in a lot of areas, which is why it has been so helpful that we've grown our team, because we're able to make, an impact in that way. So her name is Andrea, and we work with her, and she also, has a couple different agencies that she's kind of the lead on. And so depending on what the project is, but she oversees our entire advertising strategy. So social media is just a part of that. It's a big part of it though. So we are just really glad that we've had those increased resources, because it has allowed us to be more strategic and intentional when it comes to what we're boosting, or even just how we're spending money, beyond just boosting organic social, what kind of content we're putting out there in our paid media. And you'll see this more, we've been seeing it more and more. I feel like all advertising strategy is really just becoming so social first. So having this structure allows us to be thinking social first when it comes to our advertising.
No, yeah, this is, I just wanted to comment. This is amazing because often I see, in having this podcast, I'll talk to guests and their paid agency or their paid teams are working in a complete silo apart from their organic social. And my belief is, like you said, content that is good on social organically is typically going to be good for one of the couple different strategies you have going for paid media. So it's really good to hear that you're on the same boat and you're in conversations and you're not siloed off. So this is great.
Yeah, it's so hard, I feel like, for an agency to be able to be the ones to create the content, because they don't, live and breathe the brand the way that we do. So we're able to be super meticulous about, the way we say things or present things, but also just, we have all this great access to students and their stories. So we try to lean into storytelling when it comes to just all of our advertising efforts.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, let's move on to this next topic here, which is around what's working well for you right now. And in our intro call, I know you mentioned entertainment value a lot. So how does that tie into a lot of what's working for you now?
Yeah, so we really love creating content that, evokes emotion. So that's what, we really try to do. And that's what I mean when I say something that's entertaining. So whether that's, educational or inspiring or just makes you laugh, I think the humor is what does the best, because that's a big reason that people open their phones and go to social media. They want to kind of have a little escape from their everyday life. So, the entertainment value has helped us grow our audiences, because we're, creating content that's shareable. So we always try to keep, our social media social. I think a lot of that kind of gets lost sometimes, is the whole point is to, connect with people. So we're really focused on a couple metrics that include shares. I think that's the biggest one right now. And you'll see I think Instagram, I'm all of Meta and TikTok, I think, are really pushing shares. So that's a big one. And then of course, comments. We really want to just foster as much community in the comments. Something we've focused on recently is just trying to respond to every single comment. And we've been able to increase in the last year our response rate by over 800%, just by being so diligent about getting to each comment. Even if you're getting to it a week or 3 weeks later, it helps so much. And then it drives people back to that post, even if it was an older one. And I think our followers just or anyone, even if they don't follow us and they comment, it just is that extra touch from the brand side that I think goes a long way. So yes, entertainment value. And this weekend is family weekend. So it's one of my favorite campaigns because there's just so much that you can do. We're, playing around with a lot of skits, like moms visiting their, students during family weekend and like seeing their college apartment be a mess and like telling them to eat more vegetables and stuff like that. So we're hoping that that'll really get some good engagement.
That's fantastic. And I like this point you made around shares. I think I'm obviously on Instagram as well. Not so much TikTok, but I have seen like a shift of content go from like engaging to being like tag an animal lover or like send this to your animal lover friend or something like that. And you send it to your friends and that like increases your reach so much, right? Is that what you mean by shares and creating
Yes.
content that's formulated in that formula or call to action?
Yes, like sharing to your story or sending it to your friend versus, likes I think are just more of a vanity metric. Everybody wants likes, but if you can get people to share your content, that is like a much deeper engagement than just a like. So, that's definitely our like number one goal right now when it comes to like what metric we're specifically trying to grow.
That's fantastic. And you tell me a little bit about your mini mic series. Can you tell us a little bit more about
Yes.
what mini mic is and what part of the series does well?
Yeah, so we have those little mini mics. They're just tiny microphones. You can just order them on Amazon. They're Bluetooth. There's so many different kinds that you can order, but we have been doing this, I think, for almost 3 years now. So we'll have, those people on the street interviews with our students. But we've been, definitely trying to be more creative. Like we've had like influencers come to campus and we'll give him the mini mic and have, him interview students or our president or, this weekend, last year we had a couple of our student interns, their parents take the mini mic during family weekend, which is just a ball. They love it. And I think those are just so, they're so interesting and fun because you can get a ton of different perspectives in one video. You can do, a video that's like, what do you like most about being a student at BG? But you could also make it something that's like super debatable, like around like a college rivalry or, any topic that you think is going to get people really excited. And I think this weekend, if it goes well, we'll have a video where we're going to put a microphone out with a piece of paper. And then we're just going to like put a camera in a secret spot and we're going to just let people like go up to the microphone themselves. And I feel like that'll just be a different version of kind of the same idea, but without that host. And it's kind of more like that secret camera. So it's like the people that go up and answer the question are like looking around, and we'll see how it goes. It might be a flop, but hopefully it's a slay.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, one thing I'm hearing is like you're open to testing new things all the time, and that's like part of the marketing job is like trying to figure out what works. And it sounds like you move pretty quick and you're able to figure out what works in that process. So that's really fascinating and amazing at the same time. So that's great.
It's definitely interesting. I feel like every time we look at analytics and we try something, we say we're going to do this series or we're going to try this new strategy, we'll do it and then it doesn't work or whatever. So we just like quickly pivot and we change our mind all the time. I think being nimble is like so important and, not getting like tied to just doing something because it's the way you've always done it. I think like having tradition in your social media, I say that you can like quickly pivot, but there is something to having tradition in your social content, like something you do every year that people look forward to. We've done that with like different kinds of like video series, and like we have like this like falcon cam. Our mascot is a falcon, and every year we have these birds fly back to the same location. So every single year we kind of post the same kind of thing. It's a little hidden camera or not hidden, but a camera that's right in this peregrine falcon nest. And so things like that, like definitely don't lose all tradition in your social, but being nimble, having that balance is always good.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I love how much actual strategy and planning went behind homecoming and your planning for that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes. So a couple weeks ago, we had our homecoming event on campus. It was so fun. We had, alumni come back from all over the country, and we wanted to do a couple different content pieces that were entertaining, but also like kind of got people excited about the event. So I'm sure I'm sure you've heard of this trend. One of the things that we did was the we're X, of course, X, that trend. So we did the we're BGSU alumni. Of course, we're going to XYZ. And we did not just like go out one day and film it. We filmed it all throughout the year at different events. So at our commencement ceremony, we filmed one clip that was like, we're BGSU alumni. Of course, we're going to update our Instagram bio the minute we graduate. And then at Move-In, we did, I'm a BGSU alum. Of course, my student is going to come to BGSU. And taking that approach, we were able to highlight different ages and genders. Like it was a more diverse video rather than just having, me go out and do the same thing over and over, which we've done before and they are successful. It was just kind of a different take on the trend. And we even had a couple of teachers film in their classroom. So that was cool. And some like alumni in different states talk about like getting their homecoming, their plane ticket to go home. So it took a little bit extra time and effort, but I think it was worth it.
That's fantastic. And when you say it was worth it, I know you track everything. You told me you track how much water you drink before the call started recording. Like, tell me about how you track these results, because it sounds like a lot of work went into this, right? And like, how do you compare it to last year's homecoming campaigns?
Yeah. So it's always hard to like, I feel like every year we're like trying to one up ourselves. And the last year was like our 100th anniversary for the band, and the year before was our 100th homecoming ever. So this homecoming, we were like, okay, what are we going to do that's fun? Because we don't have something like big to celebrate. But it still did very well. I think it got, I don't know, several hundred shares on Instagram. I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. Things change every day, but
you're looking at shares. Gotcha.
Yes. Shares and comments. People were tagging, their alumni friends who were coming back. And, I think, every year just like trying to do something different and new has definitely helped.
That's fantastic. Well, I love that you have a formula for your social strategy. You kind of give glimpses of it just now, but can you tell us a little bit more about your breakdown? Because I love this breakdown. I believe it's like the 40, 40, 20.
Yes, absolutely. So when it comes to all of our content, we have a formula, and it's just 3 buckets that I've come up with. So 40% is top of funnel content. So it's broad appeal. Anyone who sees your content can either relate to it, find it entertaining, or want to learn more. So it doesn't have to be like super niche to your brand. So for example, instead of saying like, we're BGSU alumni, of course, I always use the example, we posted once of we're college students. of course we're going to XYZ. So that's more broad appeal. Or, kind of taking a topic that's just related to your university and just doing overall higher education or college spin on it. And that can be, humor, or it could be like research that is like affecting large populations. I feel like we, are always looking for ways to like make research interesting. But I think like the content with like emotion does really well. We posted over the summer when the Inside Out 2 movie came out.
Yes.
We posted a little meme dump and on Instagram, and it went like mini viral. It got like almost 20,000 likes. And that I think is really, really hard to do with a still image versus like a reel or video. So, and I mean that movie is just like a perfect example of like, because the whole movie is literally like emotion. So that's a, perfect example of how human beings, like when they see that kind of thing, like it evokes something in us. So that's our broad appeal. And then the other 40% is brand pride. So I like to describe our brand pride posts as things that, differentiate us as a university from our competitors. And also just like the little special things that make people proud to be a student or an alum or a parent, a community member of the university. So that can be, that's a great example of that. We're BGSU alumni. Of course, we're going to go to Polly Eyes when we visit town, which is like a just super iconic breadstick restaurant in BG. Just those,
Okay.
unique little things. So not just that, but if you have like exciting news, one thing that we've been having a lot of momentum with this year and last is growing different scholarships and donations. So really making a big deal out of gifts and like the philanthropists who have that belief in higher ed, and specifically at BG, kind of making a splash with that. Or maybe it's like a program that is doing well. We're talking about your enrollment, whatever it is, that makes your university or brand unique. That's what I call like the brand pride. And then the last 20% is more of the communication, information, being a source of, truth for your all your different audiences and community members, whether that's like event information or, admission, scholarship information, and just like that customer service side of things. So that's kind of our formula. And if we get a request that doesn't fit into that formula, we'll try our best to like spin it in a way that does. But sometimes, we have to say no, which is always so hard in social. You want to say yes to everyone. But I do think like most of the time you can take, that's why I always ask, like, what's your goal when we have a campus partner request something? Because 9 times out of 10, you can, with knowing their goal, and, asking more questions, really making sure that is truly what they want. Because sometimes when I ask, people like, what's your goal with this? They'll like change their mind, like through the conversation, their goal will shift. So once that's very clear, I think, they might have requested you post this graphic about this program in this timeline, post about it 10 times in the next 6 months. And instead of that, I can say like, how about we make a video, or we make something that's, more interesting, that will have bigger impact and that will help you reach your goal versus just saying yes and doing it. But most of the time we can do things that fit into that formula. But I have had to learn how to grow a backbone and say no.
Yeah. I know that's one thing. Like I asked you like if you're seeing any challenges in higher ed, and I remember that you mentioned, you've grown your social following and just the profile so much in your few years at BG. And with that, what challenges come with that? And you said, well, a lot of people come to me now that, they want a little piece of the pie. They want some action on your social, and you've had to learn to say no a lot more. Like
Yes.
what has that been like? And like how do you pick and choose? Like, so do you break things down to the formula and it's like, hey, we already did our 20% of communication. No, I'm sorry, we can't put your student org event on here. It's just doesn't fit into our social. Like, what is that process like?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, we try our best to like have those conversations like I mentioned, like, trying to really get to the goal, but a lot of times what I'll do is if it's like a hard and fast no, just because we have other priorities, like we always have to think about, what is the most important content that we get out this week or this month, and we have to do that very well. So, um if we don't have time for the, other request, I love just like, um following back up with them in a future semester or doing something like that, so that you're not just my boss Amy, she's our AVP. She always says, like, what does she say? She's always like, um never say no, like always come from a place of yes, always come from a place of yes. And I think that attitude and mindset really helps with collaboration, because there are so many
Mm-hmm.
good stories, and you don't want to miss a good story because you said no to somebody in the past, and so they don't come to you in the future because they don't think you're going to post, about it. So I think, you know just trying to not overpromise but follow up with people as best you can, definitely helps.
That's great. Well, thank you. I know a lot of people are wondering how they can grow their team and get more resources. I know you started solo and now you're at team of 9. So maybe look to that formula Brianna just shared with us, because I think that'll be really helpful. Just one last question: what's next for BG's social, or your social strategy, or your ideas as we near 2025? Anything fun or something you want to test out next year?
Yes, I'm so excited. I can't believe the year is almost over. It flew.
Right.
But I'm really excited to start working with more influencers. Over the last 2 years, we had an ambassador program that I was, really happy with and proud with. But right now, we're kind of like reimagining what that's going to look like in 2025. So those are, students at BGSU who are passionate about the university and share on their social, to the micro influencers. And then we just worked with Trent Miller, and he's he's more of a macro influencer. Um, so I think, building more um, projects out with that in mind will be exciting. And also, we at BG, we have a lot of industry partners. So I would love to keep, dabbling in creating content with them. For example, we're partners with Six Flags Cedar Point. We have the only resort attraction management program in the country that's like actually embedded in a theme park. So stuff like that, I think will be really helpful to like kind of get us to the next level. I saw today, this is like not related to higher ed, but it like really inspired me. Awala, do you know the water bottle brand Awala?
I'm not familiar, but yeah, tell me more.
They're like the new Stanley, I feel like.
Okay.
Everyone was like drinking out of a Stanley. Now everyone's drinking out of a
I know
Walla.
the
I don't
Stanley
have
thing.
either.
Oh,
I
got
use
it.
a hydrate water bottle, as you know. But they just released a line of water bottles with a brand called Lonely Ghost. And I keep seeing that kind of trend where two brands from different industries like come together to create content. And I think higher ed I feel like there's something to that. Whether it's, merch and apparel, or, maybe it's like an industry partner that you have, in like a specific program, or maybe another university that you're partnering with. I think there's just something to brands coming together, and then both brands get each other's like audience engaged, and you learn about another brand through that. So I don't know. It's just something that I'm like thinking about. I don't know exactly how I want to do it yet, but it's on my mind.
No, that's fascinating. It, like, for some reason, reminded me of McDonald's. But like McDonald's had a really poor couple of years, like 10 years ago. And they basically started partnering with influencers, that historically didn't relate to fast food at all, but that was like their strategy, and they really have bounced back in the last several years with that. Not saying that, you should go eat McDonald's, but like they had brilliant marketing, and I respect that. And so, no, it made me think of McDonald's and how they like brought two different types of industries together and figured out how they can help each other. So that's great.
Like health and wellness influencers, something like that.
Yeah. No, that could play. No, I like that. I like that you're thinking outside the box, because, higher ed can just be this big vacuum of space sometimes. And I think I now remember you mentioned you look to other brands for inspiration, not just other higher ed institutions. So I think that's great practice.
For sure. It's always like the worst when you see like a different university just like straight copy your idea without like giving you credit to. And then there's a lot of universities that will give like, I think that's like a Gen Z core value, is like giving credit where credit is due. And I love when I see other brands like say like inspo at, Montclair University or whatever it is. And that's something that we're definitely trying to, of course there's trends where everyone is doing it and you're not going to give everyone credit, but there's some things that are super specific. So just my hot take.
There you have it. Yeah. If you're going to take an idea from BG, make sure to tag them with the inspo, and, they'll be happy with that. So well, thank you so much, Brianna. It's been so great talking to you. This is one of my favorite topics to cover. So it's been very fun. Thank you so much. I'm wondering where our listeners can connect with you and figure out what you're up to.
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Brianna Blackburn. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok, Brianna L. Blackburn. I'm pretty active on those. And then, of course, at official BGSU everywhere. So if you DM us, I might be the one that DMs you back or one of our students, but any of those places.
Well, thank you so much. And thanks everyone else for tuning in.
Thank you.